but it was just like exactly the right time. And yeah, I mean, be straightforward, I cried like halfway through New Jersey.
Hi, welcome to the guest list with Patrick Hicks. Today I am joined by music journalist, host of the upcoming show, The Spot, Miki Hellerbach. Miki, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Patrick. I think this is an awesome show idea. I saw it on Substack, first and foremost, where I also have a publication called Inside the Credits, and where I have also seen your video breakdowns, and I do producer breakdowns on Substack as well. And the one that like caught my eye the most was of the Jamaican producer, whose
Oh,
name is escaping me right now.
Jojo, who's
But I
Kim?
Yes, which was such a distinct breakdown and way of storytelling that it felt very in line with my publication. I was like, wait a minute, who is this guy? And I went on an absolute rabbit hole.
Oh,
So
awesome.
I was so hyped to do this, and I told you beforehand, but this is a show I wish I had thought of. So I'm hyped to be here.
Thank you so much. I definitely want to get into your show, The Spot, because I am similarly jealous of the idea. It's such a great idea. So you go to the hometown of musicians and they take you to their favorite hometown spot and you eat and they share their memories of food and talk about their music. And I saw you talking about this a little bit, but music and food are so connected in the way that it like frames our nostalgia. Like
Mm.
I've had so many thoughts of music that I've compared and other people have compared to that Ratatouille moment where he tastes, the food critic tastes the Ratatouille and he's transported back to childhood. Like who
Yes.
doesn't have that same feeling with music? So it's so
Ex
natural to have a music and food show connected. So what made you want to make this show?
Man, I like not Ratatouille specifically, but literally that feeling. It was literally like an idea I'd written down in an iPhone note and in the
Hmm.
back of my head. And my girlfriend and partner in the show and producer, I like told it to her and she has helped me bring it to life. But it is totally related to the like interconnectivity of those two passions of mine and how they are both locked into memory. That is the exact reason to do it. They are, to me, the most visceral, creative art forms, passions. And I very much view like the culinary arts, food as art as much as I view music as that. And I also like wanted to use food as a like lens, if that makes sense, into a more in-depth sort of portrayal of the sort of artist human collision. Whereas like I think like because food is almost grounded so much in a reality as much as it is an elevated art form, it like allows for artists, and I found this out even more from shooting the pilot with an artist named Asha Amuno from Moreno Valley, California, that it really like grounds them in the reality that artists and are it's not like a separation of artists and people, it is one entity, and exploring that proactively through food, it just like shows such a rounded version of a human and the creativity that they put out into the world. So yeah.
The pilot is great. I watched the pilot.
Yeah.
What is the next step? You're now trying to raise money to make it a full series. Is that what's going on
Yes.
now?
Yes. So we scrapped together whatever resources we could possibly gather to make the pilot and booked Asha, which was awesome. And literally, it's great timing. We're talking. So yesterday we launched our Seed and Spark crowdfunding campaign, which will go on for a month. We are trying to raise $25, 20, not $25, if only $25,000 in order to make a full season of The Spot. And The Spot is also, it's important to say here, a regional show. So we want to sort of find the soul of a region through these interviews with musicians and music people at their spots. So we want to do a full 4 to 5 episode season with that $25,000, and then hopefully expand into multiple seasons of the show in various different regions. And my dream is, of course, it's grandiose as taking it all the way to like doing a UK season, but also I'm really inspired by the work of Anthony Bourdain. And one thing that I thought was so cool about his shows is he would go to places you would expect and places you've never heard of, or just didn't expect him to go. So I've been thinking a lot about like doing a Northern Florida season with the rise of artists like Sailor and Doechii at the same time. And like that wouldn't necessarily be a region that you would think of going to.
Right.
I'm really inspired by that regional element. So that's the this is the real proving ground of figuring out if we can really expand this into a real entity.
All right, so let's get into this playlist. So you said you
Yeah.
live in LA now, but you're from Baltimore, right?
Yeah, from Baltimore. Not born. I was actually born in Western Massachusetts. My
Hmm.
parents met at UMass. But then from the age of 2, when we moved to Baltimore through 18, raised in Baltimore. So definitely my hometown. Yeah.
What is a song that reminds you of your childhood in Baltimore?
Yeah. So uh, with that question, it made me think of my mom first. I would say she's like my entry point into my musical taste. And there's like, of course, it's like, what song in the house that she was playing growing up do you choose? And it was really like I really thought about this one a lot, and it was like, what really like encompasses her taste that she passed on to me? And I thought I had to go with Reasons by Earth, Wind, and Fire,
Oh, nice. Okay.
which is one of the great love songs of all time. And it is a song that she expressed to me was not just one of her favorite songs, but like reminded her of her childhood. So it was a little bit of an
Hmm.
element of passing that along to me, like her and her friends and sort of middle and high school would listen to it at parties and such. It was like a slow dance song in her childhood. But it also like when I think of like the core of my music taste and the like R&B groove at the center of it, and that sort of slow, vibey feeling that also includes like the brightness of the Earth, Wind, and Fire horns, which gets, duplicated in various other ways through my music taste. It just like is the centerpiece of all of that. And yeah, it all I can like it shoots memories as we're talking about that at the beginning here into my brain of just, Sunday cleaning in the house when my mom would be playing it. We'd had a greatest hits Earth, Wind, and Fire CD playing, or dinners, or cooking dinners, or just honestly hanging around the house with the family. It just that one always came up, and I think it's because my mom just sort of always wanted to play it. It was just in
Yeah.
her rotation. Yeah, and I like when I think of like beauty in music, I'd say that would be one of the first songs I ever thought of. It just is a beautiful song. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, great choice. When did you first become obsessed with music, do you think?
Great question. Obsessed. Obsessed is such a specific word. So I would say ever since I like there's two answers, I think. The first one is like in my childhood being surrounded by it. I always loved it, was around it. I like to sing a lot as a child too. That's sort of a part of my story intertwined as well. Uh so I'd say I was obsessed with the music my mother was playing in the house, which didn't just include Earth, Wind, and Fire, but also included the other big ones are Luther Vandross,
Hmm.
and Al Green. Al Green is still my favorite singer to this day. Um, and yeah, I was definitely obsessive about that. And then my first CD I ever had was like Space Jam soundtrack. And then it like went into getting CDs from the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC boy bands into discovering rap. But I'd say the real sort of switch of like obsessiveness about music came from my cousin Matt, who introduced me to rap blogs when I was in my teens. That became a big thing because it became more than just a level of obsession that had to do with like I love listening to music into I love finding new music.
Hmm.
And he introduced me first to notwrite.com, which is the originator of all rap blogs. Then, of course, Rap Radar and Two Dope Boys sort of came along after that. And then I found little different ones that I would check as well. And, eventual birth of Pigeons and Planes and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But yeah, he showed me J Electronica and the Drought 3. And he showed me where he found them. And J Electronica, this was Exhibit A and Act One, the sort of early mixtape, and then opening my world to like the worlds of those artists. I had heard Lil Wayne, but I didn't like know the mixtape era stuff, and of course went back, listened to Dedication 2 and things of that nature. But him showing me this world of discovery of music really just changed the game.
And then how did you go on to be a writer for like Complex and OK Player? How did that happen?
Yeah, yeah. So very strange, not linear path. I first wanted to be an actor. I went to Performing Arts High School in Baltimore, which has is famous for being where Tupac and Jada Pinkett met. So all of my high school acting teachers taught them. And I wanted to be an actor. Went to performing an acting program in college, moved to New York, tried to become an actor, got involved in and met more sort of new friends there doing music, fell out of love with the pursuit of acting, started making my own music, but the seed and then eventually came into music writing, but the seed actually started in my college program. Shout out my still mentor to this day, Susan Leary. I had an English 101 class, and I remember the first piece I ever wrote for her actually was an analysis of the afterlife through album covers, which included like the
Great.
two Nirvana album covers. That was sort of my favorite parallel, which is like there's the baby on In Utero, which is like, or on Nevermind, sorry, baby on and Nevermind, which is like Nevermind, the birth of life doesn't matter. In Utero is like an angel. So it's like I'm entering into the afterlife, which is in utero, which is obviously very interesting in like the obsession with the afterlife, which I was chronicling. I did like a Jimi Hendrix one as well, and other artists were in that
Hmm.
piece. But I credit her with really teaching me how to write and like sparking my interest in like analysis being the trigger to then put pen to page. And then we eventually co-created a class, which wasn't in my theater major, of course, at all, writing about the television show Lost as if it was a
Oh,
classic novel. And I wrote like a 25-page paper over the course of a semester, which was awesome. And so that was like my intro into culture writing, but I was like, I'm gonna become an actor, went about doing that, and then like got the itch or the sort of the bug back, looped back around in my late 20s and reached back out to her and eventually started looking at Duotrope, which is a sort of more academic writing website, started writing for free, built up a portfolio, really locked in over the pandemic. And then since then have really been just sort of building a portfolio and figuring out how to eventually get paid for the writing that I do and getting more and more interested. And, music was always from, listening to the music my mom played in the house to being obsessed about it during the rap blog era was always sort of the centerpiece of all of it. And I like love TV and I love Lost. It's still my favorite show, but music was always the thing I was, as you asked in your question before, super obsessive about. So naturally
yeah.
that became sort of the center of my writing.
Man, I was also so obsessed with Lost. It was my favorite show. And I remember during the final season, I was living in an apartment, like going to college, and they were doing a fire drill and like
Mm,
trying to evacuate everybody. And I was like, I'm not leaving. This is like one of the last episodes of Lost. Like I can't rewatch it. You don't understand. Like I can't pause it. I would have to
yeah.
wait for the DVDs to come out. I'm not leaving. They're like,
Oh
you get.
man.
I was like, what happens if I don't leave? They're like, you get a fine. I was like, give me the fine.
Uh-huh.
I'm not leaving. Like one of the last episodes of Lost. You're crazy. What a terrible time for a fire drill. Yeah, I love that show. It's one of those shows where it's like, I don't know if I would recommend it because it seems so divisive. Like I
Hmm.
loved it. I loved it all the way through. I love the ending. I think everybody misunderstands the ending. But then
Patrick, we're getting in hot water
yeah,
here. I love the ending too, but people are not going to like that.
it was good. But yes, I could never recommend it.
Yeah.
I can't be like, yes, watch 6 seasons of a show. Some of the seasons will be 20 episodes long and there's some filler, but
Yeah.
it's one of the best shows ever made. But I know some
Yeah.
people hate it, so I can't set people up for that. So it's always great when I meet somebody else who loves Lost.
Oh yeah. Well, we'll save it for another conversation, but I'll have to give you my whole, analysis of it for my
Yeah,
25-page paper I
I
wrote,
want
and
to
we'll
go
have
take
to.
that class. That sounds amazing.
Oh man, I loved it so much.
What is a song that you associate with a concert experience?
I went with my instinctual choice here. Um, and that is at the first concert. I still can't believe this. The first concert I ever went to, which was called, you can Google this, Virgin Festival in Baltimore at Pimlico Racecourse. Virgin for now you think, but Virgin Mobile. Richard Branson put it
Okay,
on,
yeah.
and it was a
Okay.
free concert for the city, but a festival, like full lineup. I saw the Police. I
Hmm.
saw Beastie Boys. I saw Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh,
Like I could keep
awesome.
going and going on and on.
Yeah.
The song that I like still can't get this like very visceral concert memory out of my head is Megalomaniac by Incubus,
Hmm.
which it was I still to this day don't think I've seen. It was the first song they played in their set. And I just don't think I've felt the movement of a crowd the same way since. It
Hmm.
was what you think of at a festival. Like you see a bunch of festival footage of, a very lively, huge crowd in an open field, but it wasn't even like a mosh pit. It was like a wave. Like I was
Yeah.
sort of like in the back quarter of the crowd, but the crowd, like I could see it because I was back there just doing this, like really feeling like the crowd was the ocean. Um, and the sound was so good. Whatever they were doing, they were killing it. The sound was so good. It was infectious. It was a thump, and it just
Yeah.
like is this I am actually getting goosebumps thinking about it because it was such a new thing for me at the time too, right?
Yeah.
Like you become more and more accustomed to concerts the more that you go to, but like the first concert I ever went to was a festival, which is nuts, and then it was just so pulsating that it like sent shivers up my spine then, and even thinking about it now, yeah.
What is a song that you associate with a specific activity? You were talking about some
Yeah.
cleaning songs earlier. Do you have something like that?
I did not choose a cleaning song. I would say I, I knew my answer right away for this one. There's only one that I can think of that is like, I listen to this every time I do this.
Hmm.
And that is every time I get on a plane, first and foremost, I listen to the full album, which is Swimming by Mac Miller. Every time I get on the plane. It's funny because swimming obviously underwater and plane is like elevated, but it's the perfect. If you've never done it, it is the perfect plane album. It's his opus to me. I was of like celebrity deaths. Bourdain is one of them, but also Mac Miller was a big one. I was the same age as him when he passed.
Hmm.
But there is a song, of course, which makes it more plain. It's called Jet Fuel, um, which is on that album. It's still my favorite song from that album. There's this like sort of sneaky reggae undertone to it, and it just like it feels like being whatever 1,000 feet in the air and sort of levitating above. And the underlying message is one of sort of uh, a layered version of perseverance is the best way I can say it. And it is, I feel unbelievably reflective, but also with a desire to elevate myself when I'm on planes. And this captures it from a very like vulnerable emotional place for me. And makes me at the same time feel really at peace. So that's the one for me for sure.
What a great answer. I don't think nobody has picked a plain song yet, and I don't know if that many people have plain music that they go to every time. All right, what is a song that makes you emotional?
Yeah. Um, I just like I have a very visceral memory. I was like, um, as many people do, first and foremost, when I turned 30, I had a little bit of a just an internalized, mental health. I, I was about to say crisis. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a sort of like where I in life? What have I done to get here? Where am I going? And sought therapy for the first time. And I'm still in therapy, and it's been really revelatory for me. Um, and my favorite artist since I heard Heart Part 2 in 2010 is Kendrick. Um,
Man,
and funny
Kendrick,
enough,
just for you.
oh man, look at that. Good kid. Oh yeah. What alignment. Um, and funny enough, bringing up the Heart Part 2, which is not the song, Kendrick actually does cry on that song in the middle of his verse. And it was so potent. I heard it and I literally had the thought in my head, this is the greatest artist I've ever heard in my life. And then Mr. Morale came out around a time when I was sort of venturing into therapy on my own, and was feeling depleted mentally. And Count Me Out to me is the centerpiece. It's the beginning of the second half of the double album. And the first two verses are uh they feel very aligned clearly with his like entry into therapy. I would be shocked if they
Okay.
are, if it's not aligned with direct sessions that he had. Though I've never seen him talk about it. I would love to talk to him about it. That would be a dream.
Yeah.
Um, but they feel it. What is so moving about that verse to me, is that it is similar, funny enough, to the last song that we talked about, which is that sort of layered version of perseverance. It is a acceptance first and foremost of the reality of the depletion that he feels and the complex uh ways that he talks to himself in his own mind, which is a thing that I'm continually trying to get better at. And yeah, I remember driving back to Baltimore from New York after I commuted. I think I was doing some sort of journalism writing thing and pressing play on it. And I had heard it multiple times before. It was my favorite song the year it came out. And yeah, just, feeling that sort of release of leaving New York and the intensity of it and going back to a little bit more of the calm of Baltimore and like getting back into my own thoughts while hearing it. And I think something difficult, I can't remember what it was, but something difficult had happened on that trip. And yeah, I just remember breaking down just sort of on the highway. And I had like sort of felt emotional about it before, but it was just like exactly the right time. And yeah, I mean, be straightforward, I cried like halfway through New Jersey. That song was really there for me in that sort of transitional
Yeah.
time.
Oh, that's great. I love that album. That was one of my favorite albums of the year. I think I put it like number
Man,
2 or 3. And I feel like it was so underrated because he's at that level where people are only going to compare him to himself. So it's
yeah,
like, well, is this as good as To Pimp a Butterfly? No. But I mean, is it better than most other albums out there? I thought so. So
right.
that's a great show.
So without getting too deep into Kendrick, because I could go forever, so Kendrick to me, I've noticed a pattern in his albums, which is that he goes from what feels like a messy exploration to what feels like a very concrete, straight up like thought and idea that's like traversed throughout the album. So like the shirt you're wearing is Good Kid. That's his first real like concrete idea album, which is like people view as a classic because it's so like storytelling straight through.
Hmm.
And my still favorite Kendrick project is Section 80 because it sort of is that like I felt like Mr. Morale was really like Section 80 in a lot of ways because it's like messy grappling with this thing, which is imperfect in a way that makes it even breathe a little bit more and even more human. To Pimp a Butterfly, as much as people sort of revere it on this sort of like up here tier, is also a very messy grappling album. And listening back to it, some of the stuff you're like, ooh, he's like sort of, I don't know. This is just not a clean thought. Like he's sort of working through stuff and there's stuff that's like a little like, listening back to on parts of that album too.
Hmm.
And then damn, super concrete, like straightforward, got it thought, Mr. Morale, grappling messy. And then of
Yeah.
course, GNX, straightforward thought.
All right.
Yeah, I love that album too.
What is a song you associate with a milestone in your life?
Right. So funny enough, this one was the least immediate
Okay.
of the answers when I thought about them. and I was very self-reflective in the like, maybe I should celebrate myself more, and that's why this is so difficult. But then I had a sort of funny one that came to mind. So my choice is "Up" by Cardi B,
Hell
and
yeah.
hell yeah. And the reason for that is it was my first major byline for Complex in
Okay.
2021, which obviously I had been grinding and building my portfolio and basically just writing for free
Hmm.
up till that point. And the piece, which you can still look up, is such a precursor to my Substack. I found when I heard that song, I was like, man, I like really love this beat. Like, who did this? And I literally looked inside the credits, found this kid, and saw like him tweet and then got contact information and then hit him up, hit his like management team up and was like, I had forged a little bit of a relationship with a Complex editor at that point. And then they said, yeah, we would love to have him interviewed. I pitched it to Complex. Complex said yes. And this kid is from Serbia. And still to
Oh,
this day,
wow.
this kid, young Dizza, he's a young Serbian kid who is making a bunch of type beats on YouTube, very inspired by like Memphis piano and trap
Hmm.
stuff, which is like, of course, not a thing necessarily in Serbian music whatsoever. But he had forged a relationship with like Duke Deuce and a bunch of different people in Memphis, and then eventually made his way to like Quavo and Offset and Migos, and then eventually had gotten some beats to Cardi B, and this was one of them. So yeah, it's an interview that's still up on Complex. You can read it, and it's I think a really cool thing. And it also I made Inside the Credits because naturally, sort of talking to producers and telling producer stories has become my natural beat. It's a thing that not that I like saw a gap in the marketplace or anything like that, but I just really am fascinated by talking to producers and telling producer stories. And this was
Yeah.
sort of the beginning of that. And so it was the beginning of this thing that has like helped with the trajectory of my journalism career, but also was the first major byline.
That's a great one. Yeah, that's kind of funny that that wouldn't be obvious that you would think like, man, my first big byline, but I know what
Yeah.
you mean about you don't want to like toot your own horn. But that's kind of what this question is for, is like, yeah,
Mhm.
like pat yourself on the back a little bit. It's okay. Celebrate
Oh
a
yeah.
milestone. Um,
I know you're right.
what is a song with some of your favorite lyrics?
Yeah. So this one like came to me very immediately and I was like, ah, maybe something I can do something else. And I was like, nah, like I should go with my immediate thought here.
Okay.
And it's because it's not, it's not necessarily that complex. Um, but it is poignant to me. So one of my favorite lyrics ever, maybe my single favorite lyric ever because of what it sort of encapsulates, is the first lyrics on PYT by Michael Jackson.
Hmm.
And the reason for that is because it's like, so it's the synchronicity of the lyrics themselves with the feeling that the song is producing. So, where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there? Like immediately I get like locked into this like world of ad I think the word is I'm looking for is like adulation, where you like, or adulation, where you're like looking at someone. It's almost like seeing someone across the dance floor, or just like seeing someone, and it's almost like a not even necessarily love at first sight, but like passion at first sight, and literally just being. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like just that looking at them across the dance floor thing. It could be like you go out on a date with someone and you're just like unbelievable, you're just out of your mind for the synchronicity that's happening, which I've had at, varying points in my life in different ways with different romantic things. And also even like it could be a friend thing too, but it really, to me, that lyric and with the sound and MJ's delivery like encapsulates that sort of like, I can't believe this is happening this way feeling. Like it just feels like that in that moment. So it always, every time I press play on that song, because it has that sort of big build up instrumental intro, and then it just launches into it with that lyric. And I'm just like taken right into that moment he's having.
That is such a great answer. I mean, I've listened to that song a million times, and I don't think I could have told you what the first line is. So I love that. Now I'm gonna go back and listen to it, and
Yeah.
I'll probably never listen to it the same way.
Awesome.
What is a song that people might be surprised to find out that you love?
Yeah, this was an immediate answer. So my knee-jerk reaction was to think of like what is the music most recently that like am really into people might not expect. But I don't think I necessarily love I wouldn't call that music like a piece of music that I love. So I just like traced it back further to see like what version of this do I actually like love in
Mhm.
retrospect. So the first impulse was like new Addison Rae album, which I liked way more than I ever thought I would because I didn't really like Diet Pepsi necessarily that much, but like the instrumentation on that album as a whole, I was like, wow. But I went back and I was sort of like unabashedly just like white girl pop moving back as far as
Right.
I could. And I was like, what is like the quintessential saccharine bubblegum white girl pop song that like I love. That probably I would say if anyone didn't expect from me, maybe that one. I like look like I like country music, even though I don't necessarily. So it's like based off of like look, vibe, whatever.
Right.
And I landed on Genie in a Bottle by Christina Aguilera
All
for
right.
sure. I like I still every time I play that song, I like love it. It is like the epitome of like that sort of boy band era, but with like just enough of that like driving rhythmic R&B in the undertone that like obviously then translates into her voice. Um and I love listening to that song. I think it really is like a it's still her best song to me and just like a masterful delivery on all parts.
All right. What is a song you love that somebody else introduced you to?
Yeah, for that one I thought of my dad. So my main sort of musical inspiration and upbringing was my mom for sure, like I've said. And my dad only showed me a choice few things. One of them, which is not the song I'm choosing, was uh, "Are You Experienced Jimi Hendrix,"
Right.
which is still one of the best rock albums of all time. But my favorite thing that he's ever showed me um, and I think I like he was like in the attic like doing a like YouTube deep dive, I think, and he was just I think I might have even heard it from like the second floor of our house and like walked up to the attic and was like, "What are you listening to?" It's Hocus Pocus by Focus.
Oh, yes. That song is so
Yeah.
weird and great. That's a
So
great.
so for those who haven't heard it who are listening to this, you have to. It's basically like yodel music mixed with rock. It's literally
Yeah.
like the verses are just yodel and then like guitar solos. And it is still unlike anything else I've ever heard. It was fascinating to me, and I was like, maybe there's this whole world of music that my dad does know that could be more fascinating to me, and it made me ask him maybe more questions about music and to get into his music taste more, which maybe introduced me to a little more things like Dire Straits, Steely Dan, which is like the classic dad music, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that one still sticks out to me as the surprise of it was just so awesome, and I was like, this is unlike anything ever.
Yeah, because the music, it's like an early 70s classic rock, almost prog rocky, and it rocks. Like the music is so good. And then the vocals come in and you're like, what is that?
Whoa, what is happening?
But it
Yeah.
works. It works somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's so amazing about it is how much it works. Like it is funny, but it is also sick.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
go through that process listening to it for the first time, you're like, what? But this is awesome.
Okay, so what's the other side? What's a song that you introduced somebody else to that you love?
Yeah, I thought of I feel like I put this song on like 15 playlists for other people because it's like my rock song that's like personal to me that I think like just more people should love. And it's not like one of their most popular songs, but it's The Flame by the Black Keys.
Mm,
So uh it's off the Magic Potion album. But I think it's like it's not like a single or anything, but it has to me the like most like craveable guitar sequence that I've ever heard still on any song. And it like leads into this just repetition of the phrase the flame on the hook. But it just is like the most like guttural, passionate feeling guitar sequence that I've ever heard in it. You know, obviously that it's been playlists to women that I've sent this song to, but it also is like just like dude, you got to hear this guitar. So it just like expand the full range of like I could send this song to anyone, and I have is that song.
What is the most recent song that you've fallen in love with?
Oh man, I just realized like how much rock I have on this playlist, which is maybe not that reflective of like what I listen to on a day to day. I feel like I'm so much more of like an R&B, alternative R&B person, but I do listen to a decent amount of rock. But my favorite song of 2025, hands down, is "Look Out for Me" by Turnstile, which it's cool to
The
sort
new
of.
album is so good. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's actually so I know people are like who are much more hardcore fans than me are like put the old Turnstile, and also Turnstile's from Baltimore, so it's like awesome that like I would describe them as like currently, as far as like the rising status of them, like the biggest rock band in the world, maybe.
Yeah. Then they're definitely in the
But
conversation.
being from Baltimore is like so sick. I was so jealous of the people who got to see that free Wyman Park show that they did because I live in LA now. But look out for me specifically why I'm obsessed with it. First of all, it's just like a pulsating, incredible rock song, super long. The outro of that song is literally a full set of Baltimore club music breaks, which when I heard like the rock that like connects with this, like there's elements of Look Out for Me that sound like Megalomaniac by Incubus to me.
Mm.
In like it is like the most like exactly the rock sound that I love. And then to put like the most Baltimore thing on the end with the club breaks, which is the bass, the doom, 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 doom. And then also they do, I don't even know how to describe it. They move from that bass beat into the also the thing that's called the Be More break, which is like the sound. Um, and they sort of encapsulate both in this sort of atmospheric sort of Wonderland outro thing. Um, and like being able to naturally go between uh that really pulsating rock stuff that I love into something that is like represents so much of home at the same time. I was like, I don't know how any song this year is going to be better than
Yeah.
this for me.
Bonus question for you if you have time.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. You've booked your dream guest for the spot. You go to their hometown, you're sitting down to eat. You get to talk with them about one of their songs. What is the song and what's the dream guest?
Okay. I'm going to have to repeat an artist
Sure.
here. Uh, I'm going to thank my dream guest for season one of The Spot, naturally, is DJ Mustard. Um, how could it not be?
Yeah.
If you don't
Perfect.
know, his actual first name is Dijon, which is why he's named DJ Mustard. And of course, like, what else could I want to ask him about more? It is the production on Not Like Us. It's just like it's so crazy, like the timing of it, that it was sort of this like resurgence of him as a producer, and it's just like it's so good of a beat, and it's like also like so him, but so like essence of hip hop too, in the way that the sample is cut. That like, yeah, it's just an unbelievable instrumental that I think
Yeah.
like even somehow as like because it was obviously in the midst of the beef, so like and Kendrick's lyrics are incisive, especially the whole like I think the most underrated is that colonizer part in the third verse is just
Oh yeah.
so solidifying. um but like the sequencing on that instrumental, as simple as it is just like the purest essence of what is great about the genre, which is like what Kendrick is standing up for. So the alignment on it is just so crazy. And I would just love to talk to him about like the intricate process of putting that together, and like the expectation of Kendrick getting on it and like what was delivered would just be a dream conversation for me.
I think in like 20 years, if my daughters were doing this and they were asked about their childhood, it might be me walking around the house yelling mustard every time we like, have a sandwich. And then I got my wife doing it too. Anytime
Yeah.
mustard comes out, we're just mustard
Oh yeah.
and
Have
that.
to. Have to.
Man, this was so great. It was so great talking to you. What do you have to promote right now?
Well, I mean, it was, first of all, it was amazing talking to you too. I'm so heartwarmed by the Lost alignment, and I'm even still thinking about it as we're continuing to talk. And yeah, I mean, I feel like I have promoted the spot so much on here. It is like I'm so tunnel visioned on this right now because we're literally in the midst of the crowd fund. Definitely check out and I've mentioned this already too, but check out my Substack Inside the Credits if you also love producer stories, like obviously me and you both do. But yeah, the spot is like such a culmination of my two strongest passions. And our intention with it is to build a show for people who really miss the formatting and the depth and the even political societal angles of the Anthony Bourdain television that no longer exists with the sort of more modern YouTube styled music interview shows and to collide them into one entity. And if that sounds like an enticing idea and you are really into the idea of artists talking at their hometown food spots, this is the show for you. And I would love if you decided to support us in any way with a pledge to the Seed and Spark, a share, a follow, spreading the word any way you can.
You've heard the stories, now hear the songs. Go to wherever you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, and you can listen to today's guest's personalized playlist if you search for The Guest List with Patrick Hicks.